Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and
Good
have a
morning.
very, very energetic morning and a very energetic day. And with this, I say and I declare that we are out of the default mode and into the create mode, at least for the next half an hour. After that, you can go back to your boring and mundane life. I mean, if it is boring and mundane. So I asked one fellow, how is life? So the guy says, sir, go to office, come back home. 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 I said, that's all. Huh? No, sir, go to office, come back home. And since I'm a bachelor, I do what bachelors do. Then I go to sleep. Then next morning I get up and I go to office, come back home. So I said, if you were married, what would you do then? I would do what married people do. Then I'd go to sleep, get up next morning, go to office, come back home. That is the story of my life, sir. So that's the story we don't want to have, do we? That's why we come here every morning. And somebody might ask you, you books, what's wrong with you? Why are you getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning and listening to this old fella farting around over there? So, I suppose you'll have an answer for that. I don't know. Okay. So here we are, continuing on our journey. And you know what? In different ways, what we are doing here is helping you to bridge the gap. You see that picture behind me? Yeah. Let me get up and show you. See? There's a gap between what you have and what you want. And that's what we are trying to bridge here every morning. But the problem is, I wonder, in our default mode where we are only surviving, today I have to do this, today I have to do my shopping, today I have to meet my patient, today I have to go to work. So in this have to life, I don't know what's happening to our desires. So what we do, we go to the OTT platform or we go to the film and we fulfill that desire vicariously by watching other people fulfill their desires. And we watch other people, in their struggle for life and say, wow, how interesting is that? Okay. Probably to run away from the boredom that we've made our life into. And why would we have done that? I mean, think who would like to make their life boring? Children are pretty smart. They get fed up of something, they'll say, I'm getting bored, and they'll do something. Yeah, so somebody needs to switch off their microphone, especially those who have got two computers on, two devices. Yes, thank you so much, Leena ji. So think about our great condition, right? Are we creating life? We have the power to create it the way we want it. We have the power to make it as interesting, as boring, as adventurous, as fulfilling, whatever it is that we want. Right? So every day when we come here and we do these clearings and we talk about different distinctions, we are talking about those things which are not letting you bridge the gap between what you want and what you have. Right? 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 Wake up. Let there be a drum roll. Wake up now. Okay. Time to get going. So let's do something in this very short session today. Let's talk about receiving. When I was a kid, I started attending one correspondence course, because I was very curious about various things. So in that course, one of the things I read over there was ask and you shall receive. I said, wow, ask and you shall receive. So I went and asked my dad, Dad, can you buy me a new cricket bat? So he says, why do you need a new one? The one you have is perfectly all right. Do you know how much effort it takes to earn money? We should not spend it just like that. I said, oh, ask and you shall receive. So how would your day be if you woke up in the morning and said, who am I today and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have and receive today? Shall I repeat it? Who am I today and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have and receive today? If you look at the reality of our lives, like when I read ask and you shall receive, and immediately went and asked my dad, and I got the answer that I got, ask and you shall receive. So I asked a question to my teacher and I received a reprimand. So what are we doing in this reality? There is not much receiving going on, is there? Actually, this reality is dedicated to the total exclusion of receiving. I think in this world that we live in today, everything is based on, if I give you this, what will I get? Right? And somebody who has to receive also, you're trying to give him something, he'll say, if I accept this, what do I have to give you? Tell me that first. Now, there is an alternative to it, okay? That's interesting, isn't it? As an infinite being, and by the way, if you are not clear about that, you better find out. You better realize that. Maybe we'll do an exercise, not today, please, tomorrow, remind me somebody. As an infinite being, which is what you truly are, you can choose to receive everything. Yeah, how does that feel? When I say, as an infinite being, you can choose to receive anything. Wow. Did that feel any lighter for you? Most of us, almost all of us, I would say, resist and refuse receiving because we have received so much unkindness and abuse. Isn't it? We've all had our fair share of unkindness and abuse and teasing and bullying and, blah, blah, blah. So our point of view is, so what's our point of view? It is, no, I'm not going to receive anything that I'm not sure about from anyone. God knows what they are going to give me. I will stay in my little bubble and there it is. I will hold on here and put this barrier here and put another barrier there and another barrier there and this one here and that one there and totally shut off my body and face. So there, I am safe. I am safe. So basically, before we let anything in, before we really receive, we use judgment to conclude if it is good and safe. So that's another way where judging limits you. Judging limits you from receiving. But you know what? Your judgment never protects you or helps you. It only, I think, limits you and hurts you, the judgment. You can't shut out some things. Your barriers shut them out. Okay? So let me repeat this just in case somebody missed. My good friend has just joined. I want him to listen to it. Right? So when you wake up in the morning, how about asking this question? Who am I today and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have and receive today? And I said, there's not much receiving going on in our reality because we are afraid of receiving because we don't know what shit we are going to receive. Because we've had our fair share of, people attacking us and abusing us and ridiculing us and all that. So we have put up barriers all around us. Yeah. So actually, whenever something is being received by you, you're actually saying, is it safe? Is it safe? And to make sure that it is safe, you'll have a judgment about it. And when you put up judgment about it, it only stops people or stops you from receiving. Now, you know what? You cannot shut out things selectively. The problem with our barriers that we ourselves are putting up is that it shuts out everything, the good and the bad. So the good question would be, but before I ask you that question, let me ask you a question. So what do you say about that? How many barriers have we put up to receiving? Can you look at it? How many judgments you have about receiving? How many judgments you have about people who are trying to give you something? How many judgments you have about asking for something? We even have judgments about desiring something. Yeah? You resonate with some of them? Would you like to share something, what you realized just now? How much of cutting out of receiving we are creating? Yes, Reddy Garu.
Most of the time we have a doubt about ourselves. Are you entitled to get this or not?
That's a judgment, correct?
Yeah, that's the one.
And then we may be blocking the receiving.
Yes, sir.
Do I deserve to receive it? Okay, wow, good example. What else? Somebody else? Yes, Nidhi ji.
Sir, what I'm realizing is we are not conditioned to think that we can receive by just desiring and asking the universe. We don't have to ask a person. We don't have to weigh circumstances. We just have to express our desire. And at appropriate time, it would come to us. But that unconditional asking does not come naturally in our functioning. Simple, straightforward asking. It is always clouded with a lot of ifs and buts.
Yeah, those are the ones I'm asking about. How many of them you have? Like Reddy Garu, what is that? Do I deserve to get this?
The countless.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, so more you're thinking, what the hell should I say? There are so many of them. Wow. This is like going to this. We went for this wedding, you know. My God, they had like 100 counters of different food, you know. 100, I counted them. And I was looking at, I mean, this was this huge wedding in BKC. And it was the wedding of the son of one of the big schools, which is a chain of schools, you know, they run. And there was so much food of so many regions and huge music playing and everything, you know. And we were going from table to table and saying, finally, we just took plain rice and some, I don't know, something. As I went, too confusing. Which one should I choose? So it's like that for Niti, and which one should I say? So interesting, no? There is a huge gap between what we desire and what we have. Because of who? If our judgments are not even allowing us to make a choice to ask, I mean, what a wonderful life, you know.
So we talk about simple living, and I think what we miss out is simple thinking.
And we listen to nice songs like, you know, what a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. Right? With all its limitations and everything, it's still a wonderful world, isn't it? You notice the abundance around you. I mean, thank God nobody's charging you for the air as yet. I mean, just wait and see. You'll be buying breathing cylinders, you know. I'm thinking of a good brand to create. I should call it Breathe Now. And in our lifetime, we never thought we'll have to buy water to drink, you know. I'm sure we'll have to sort of, you know, we'll have a metered, for every bucket of water that we use for having a bath will also be charged. Water is going to become more expensive than oil, I'll tell you that. Terang, so I put some negativity into your head. Now you start worrying about that.
Sir, in Hong Kong already I'm paying, sir, for water.
Yeah, we pay here also. There's a bill which comes. There is a meter on that also. Anyways, so let's get back to the topic. So you understand that we are now putting up barriers to receiving, right? So the natural question is, okay, sir, we know that. Okay, so what is required to start receiving? So I have 15 minutes to tell you that. You know what's required to start receiving? Vulnerability. Vulnerability. Does somebody have a simple word for that? Right? Vulnerability means I have no defenses. I don't need defenses like little children, you know, they are vulnerable. So we use the word vulnerability in the negative sense because I am vulnerable to attack, like that. But vulnerability would allow things to get in. Invulnerability would stop the good and the bad from entering into you. Now, all those who have this huge storehouse of judgment, who are unable to live 1 minute of their life without judgment, for them, vulnerability is like an open wound. Now, it's where you have no barriers for anything. You have no barriers for what the other person does. There are no barriers to anything you can do. And you don't have to prove anything about who you are. You can just be there. You can just be you. Right? So let me remind you what we're doing. What is required to start receiving? What is required to start receiving is vulnerability. And vulnerability is where you have no barriers, right, about anything that the other person does. You have no barriers to what anything you do, and you don't have to prove anything about who you are. You just be there being you. Right? So you don't have to pose, you don't have to pretend, you don't have to hold back, you just be open to giving and receiving. Now, have you ever had an open sore on your body? You know, thoda, open one. And it's so intense that when the wind blows, ooh, that's like vulnerability. So why is it a good thing? In this reality, you are told that vulnerability is bad. Oh, this relationship hurt me, so I'm going to put up barriers that this never happens again. We do that, no? I got cheated once, so I will make sure nobody is able to convince me about anything so that I don't get cheated again. So here's the thing. Just remember one thing. Once you put up enough of those walls and barriers, who is the one trapped behind those walls? You are. So will you experience freedom if you've got these, literally bars of your judgments and your bars of your protection all around you? Will you feel free? Is it surprising that only little children feel free? I mean, we look like constipated people here. We are so stiff walking around like, like that. So how many barriers have you erected? How many barriers have you erected so you wouldn't be vulnerable anymore? Would you please destroy and uncreate all these, please, now? Yes? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. How many barriers have you erected so you wouldn't be vulnerable anymore? Would you please destroy and uncreate all these now? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. You know what? Here's the thing. For every single one of those barriers that you have erected, you have to judge whether you're doing it right or wrong, whether it's working or not, right? And whether it's indeed keeping out the bad, evil thing you wanted to keep out. So which keeps you in constant judgment, and it takes a huge amount of energy, It takes a huge amount of energy to keep judging. So if you're truly willing to be there, ask yourself this question: am I truly willing to be there with no barriers with someone? It creates totally different possibilities. It creates a softness in you, a receiving of everything. And it invites that possibility for them as well. And you know what? If you have a point of view, which I remind you every day, if you accept that point of view, what is that? That every experience is an opportunity to be a better version of myself. Now, if you operate in life from that, do you need to put up any barriers? Will you not allow yourself to be vulnerable because you say, whatever I receive is fine. It's going to just make me a better version of myself. So why do I have to be closed? Why do I have to protect myself? Why do I have to be judging all the time? So if you're truly willing to be there with no barriers with someone, it creates totally different possibilities. So have you noticed something that, when you're at home, now some people, they have so many barriers, like tiptoeing around their wife. But when they go for the morning walk in the park, they can be very free and easy with all the lovely ladies out there. How come? You're putting up walls and barriers in the house and not outside the house. Interesting, isn't it? So if you're truly willing to be there with no barriers with someone, it creates totally different possibility. It creates a softness in you, a receiving of everything, and it invites the possibility for them all. And what we've been told in contrast is something different, isn't it? So let me tell you what you're being told. Na? They told out of their reality. Now you want to live your life according to your reality, then you will never believe that ask and you shall receive. Now vulnerability, what we are saying is really not weakness, okay? Vulnerability, on the contrary, is a place of true receiving, true power and potency. Why is that? Because when you have no barriers and no judgments, you can have total awareness of everything. How would life be? Imagine, you have no barriers, no judgments, and you can have total awareness of everything. You can receive everything because you are not shutting out anything. Okay, so let's do the clearing one more time. How many barriers have you erected so you wouldn't be vulnerable anymore? Would you please destroy and uncreate all of them now, please? Yes, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. How many barriers have you erected so you wouldn't be vulnerable anymore? Would you please destroy and uncreate all of these now? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Now you can receive everything that allows the parts that will contribute to your life and living to do so. Think of that. See, there are things in life that will contribute to your life and living. So once you drop your barriers, you can receive everything that allows those parts, those things that can contribute to your life. You let them do so, right? You can change anything that shows up into something different or greater, or you can simply let it go. And it opens up a possibility also that as you are receiving, you're able to give also in equal measure. Just remember one thing, in this universe, there is no right, there is no wrong. Okay? It is a constant flow of receiving and gifting. So if there is a how or what should I do, you know what you can just do? It's just to be present in your life and be willing to receive the energies of another possibilities. It's all energy. Are you willing to receive it? So when being the totality of receiving, when you're like totally receiving, you let all your barriers down and receive and gift everything with no exclusion. See, I want to let you know one thing. True receiving is when you are simultaneously giving and receiving. When I give healing session to someone, when I give the SOP, Symphony of Possibility session to someone, I'm not only giving, but I'm also receiving. Yeah. So this simultaneous giving and receiving is the greatest gift you can give to someone, man. Let me tell you, you receiving from someone else is sometimes the greatest gift you can be to that person. Have you ever thought that? You think that only giving, giving is a gift. Have you ever considered that you receiving from someone else is also the greatest gift you can give to that person? Ask and you shall receive, but just not the way you think, by the way. Because sometimes the way you receive may be quite different from what you may ask. It doesn't look the same. What you ask, you may not get right now. You may get it after 3 months. You may get much more than you ask. So please know this, it will never show up the way or in the time that you think it will, but it will always show up. Don't be impatient. So one of the things that we need to do is trust in the universe, right? Have faith in it. The universe's way of gifting to you is way beyond current conclusions and realities. And one fact you need to know is that your point of view, your points of view on what can show up, because your point of view is that it should show up like this only and it should show up like this only. It actually gets in the way of actually what can be received from the universe. So please leave the when, where, and how to the universe. You know something? It can sometimes be uncomfortable also. Huh? So let's imagine that you're asking for a new job and you get fired. So what has the universe done now? It has started changing things. So try asking, is this possibility I've been asking for showing up in a totally different way than I thought it would? So sometimes when you're not receiving it the way you want it, you can ask this question, is this possibility I've been asking for showing up in a totally different way than I thought it would? Ask that. It never shows up exactly the way you wanted it to show up, all right? Okay, so let's do a clearing and then we will say bye-bye for now. Everything you have done to erect these walls of judgments around you and keep you from total caring, gratitude, and receiving, will you destroy and uncreate these all, please? Yes? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Everything you have done to create these walls of judgment around you and keep you from total caring, gratitude, and receiving, will you destroy and uncreate it all, please? Yes, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. What have you misidentified and misapplied receiving as that it isn't? That keeps you in a constant state of rejection of what is possible for you. Everything that doesn't allow that, will you please destroy and uncreate it all? Yes, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Are you willing to receive without projections, expectations, separations, conclusions, judgments, rejections, or answers of what has to be and how it has to look? Everything that doesn't allow that, will you please try and uncreate it all, right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pop, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So as I leave you, I want to remind you that when you wake up in the morning, how about asking this question, who am I today and what grand and glorious adventures am I going to have and receive today? So be in this question and see what's going on and what shows up in your life today. Will you do that, please? Who am I who am I today? And what glad and glorious adventures am I going to have and receive today? And let's make this a truly extraordinary, wonderful day for all of us, wonderful, magnificent, extraordinary human beings that we are. And remember, you deserve to be loved and respected for who you are. You don't have to grow a halo to be getting that. Okay. Yeah, Reddy Garu, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. I just want to clarify with you. If someone wants to punish you, still you want me to receive?
Why not? Every experience makes you a better version of yourself, no? We don't know, na? Why do we not trust the universe to give it to us the way we require? And in any case, what you are calling as punishment, you are calling it as punishment.
Okay.
Sometimes a very close person punishes us in a very interesting way. So to you, it feels like a punishment. You can even say that I got some rest today. See, again, how we are interpreting somebody's action When we call it a punishment, then it's going to be a punishment for us. And if we say, all right, I'm receiving something, and whatever I'm receiving is going to make me a better version of myself.
But
So how do people punish us? I'm not going to talk to you for the next 3 days.
no,
People say, wow, very good, yeah. I'll have some peace and calm for 3 days. It all depends on how you take it. Na? A good question. I think you guys can dwell on it, yeah?
Okay, sir.
So what am I willing to receive today is what I want to leave you at. So thank you very much for this wonderful short session that I've done with you. Okay? And I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. sharp, right? Today, you be in a mode of receiving and gifting simultaneously and see what magic. Are you willing for magic to show up in your life? Huh? You know what is magic? Magic is anything that you don't have a logical explanation for. They say, na, he works in wondrous ways. He actually works in wondrous ways. You may be shocked to find out what wonders are possible when you allow yourself to drop your judgments and be vulnerable. So have a great day, guys. Bye. God bless you. See you tomorrow morning.
Bye-bye.
Bye.